All right. Greetings and peace, everyone. My name is Neo, and I'm here to share some serious info with the people. Welcome to the Committed Relationships and Spiritual Activity YouTube channel. And I got some serious information that I want to share with everybody. And as I just said, I want to get straight to the point as much as possible. I just had another revelation, and this is the number one reason why I love being by myself in silence. And I'm happy that I don't have any TV signals coming in my home. I don't have any Wi-Fi signals coming in my home, because all of those things, they limit people's perception psychically, and also it keeps their brain frequency on a very low level. So that is definitely science. You can check that out. And to me, that's just something that I just automatically knew, because me not having those in my home, I'm able to perceive a lot psychically. So this information right here that I'm going to share with you guys, and it's 1:50 in the morning, and I finally came through with the information that I definitely been seeking for the past few months, because I knew that something wasn't right. Well, actually, the past few years I already knew something was up, but the last few weeks I've been seeking it more and more to really realize I wanted to be able to have the perception that this world is it ending, or has it already been ended? Has it already ended? And from my information that I've gotten now is that it has already ended years ago. And now this information comes from me. I had a quickening. The first time I really realized it even more, like actually getting the information, what came from when I think 2016, summer of 2016, what I wanted to do is, once I realized what the sun does to my auric field as far as a cleansing, it provides a cleansing to my auric field, and it energizes me to a higher level, allowing me to do a lot of things with the energy, including increasing my psychic senses. So it amplifies my psychic senses, due to having a high energy. And if people really understand psychic ability and even magic, the more energy you have within yourself, and the more you have it in your auric field, the more you can do with that energy. So what I did was, it was one morning in 2016 in the summer, hot. The sun was blazing. And I said, all right, you know what? This time around, I want to get in the sun for 2 hours minimum, because I know what 1 hour does to me psychically and energetically. So I wanted to go with 2 hours. So I was like, all right, well, let's just try this out. And that day I didn't have nothing to do at all. So I just sat there and just enjoying myself. And I'm telling you, when I'm sitting in that sun, I am at peace. And so I was sitting in the sun at the park all by myself, just sitting there so that I can perceive things on a higher level and really know what's going on the planet. And that's exactly how we used to do in ancient civilizations, where we didn't have no TV, no news telling us what's going on, because we had all of the news in our goddamn head, in our pineal gland. We had the spiritual vision. Years and years, early civilizations, we didn't need all that stuff. We didn't need the TV. We didn't need the internet. We didn't need the phones, because we already had it all in our head. And that's why that's one thing most people don't realize, is that everything that's of technology is based off of what we used to do in ancient civilizations, even before ancient Kemet, before after Africa. Ancient Kemet in Africa, those are when we were on our downfall. We were on our downfall, but we still was more advanced than this society, because this is not even a civilization here in America or in most of these countries. It's not a civilization. It's just a society that's put together to keep people in a certain state of being. But anyways, so I was sitting there and I was getting a whole bunch of revelations that I haven't perceived before. And this is where my information comes from largely, rather than more than books. It's just spiritual information that comes through psychically. And I'm just sitting there, and now I learned how to recognize this information that comes through, because that's the one thing that a lot of people don't know is just about everybody gets some kind of psychic transmission, but they don't understand what that information is, and they don't know if it's true or not. So it's the trust that they have to learn how to accept the truth and not deny it. And that's why a lot of people who are highly psychic, they end up taking some kind of drugs, or they turn to alcohol because they can't deal with this information that's coming through. And for me, the information that came through is on my way back home. Number one, the first thing, I had so much energy in my auric field and within inside of me that I literally felt like I could fly. Literally, I felt so light. Like my light body was extremely filled with so much fucking energy, and I probably could have did so many things psychically with that damn energy, but at that time I didn't understand that much about psychic ability than I do now. So this information that I came through, let me go straight to the point, that it came through, the planet is already falling apart. That's one thing that a lot of people do not realize, that for years it's been falling apart. And once I got that information, and I perceived it and it came through, that was the first really, really clear spiritual transmission that came through for the first time. And that's because I was on the highest spiritual frequency that I've ever been, in the highest energetic auric field that I ever had. And now I know the importance of having a high level of energy. Now I see why world societies is doing whatever they can to influence people to eat so much. And at that time I was fasting for the morning at least. They program people to eat so much, eat 3 times a day, which that's a big no-no. You don't want to eat that much, because the more you eat, the more congested your body is. And the more congested your body is, the more your energy is on a lower level. And when your energy is on a lower level, you're on a lower psychic level. And when you have a whole bunch of alcohol where you're drunk, you put yourself on a lower level, which that's exactly what some people want to do, because they want to drown out their psychic senses. And they turn to alcohol and drugs because they want to drown out a lot of what's reality for them that's been going on. So they haven't been trained to deal with reality. So they run, because a lot of people are really psychologically weak. And me really observing people and understanding psychic strength, mental strength, I see now that a lot of people for years have been banged down to be mentally weak. So they turn to the alcohol and all of the other stuff that distracts them from what's really going on. So for me, the information that I got, and especially listening to Bobby Hemmitt as a aid, so that allows me to confirm what's really going on. He already does it with he got the information from his spiritual transmissions that he gets from his psychics that he deals with, and also scholarship by studying the books. And this planet, the world has been over for years, like 1994. It's been said that in 1994, when there was a Siggy ceremony, some kind of ceremony that an African tribe in Africa has already did to help bring on the end of this world, the end of this world, because this planet, this realm that we live in is fake. It's not real. You can go see the movie Truman Show, go see the movie The Matrix, go see the movie The 13th Floor and Dark City, and you analyze all of those. And I watched all of those recently, The Truman Show, Dark City, and 13th Floor. And all of those just give me confirmation as what I've already been knowing for years. And this information right here that came through as far as the spiritual transmission, first and foremost, is that the planet, that's my first transmission that I got, and that was in 2006. And throughout the years, I've been just searching for more and more information to see what's going on so that I could be prepared for myself, and so that I could let go of all of the things that society teaches us to be worried about, be concerned about. And there's a whole bunch of stupid distractions like materialism, employment, that's an employment trap, which I plan on doing a revised version of my employment trap series. That's part of my psychological trap series, where I talk about how that employment trap is actually a distraction for most people, worrying about getting a job and worrying about money, which money nowadays, any moment that money can literally be worthless. So people sitting there worrying about being a millionaire and being an entrepreneur don't realize that money worldwide, really, any moment it can just be flat out worthless. And then their new car that they got, any moment it could be flat out worthless. So the new information just recently today, maybe a few minutes ago, I don't even know what time it is now. It's like 2 something in the morning. But sitting here listening to more Bobby Hemmitt, and before I listened to it, the information came through and made me realize what was going on again. I mean, even more. So what's going on is the world literally has already been ended. Now we're living in a situation in a period where it's a residue. What's going on? It's a residue. People, it literally looks like this world is still going on, but it's really not. Because number one, this is an illusion. And what's going on is the people, the so-called powers that be, the ones that influence this society, and what they're doing is they don't want it to be a worldwide panic. So what they'll do is they'll do whatever they can to keep things moving forward so that people won't panic and run around and it be complete chaos, pandemonium. So what they'll do is they'll do things like continue to build buildings, and that's what has been prophesied that what's his name? Was it Elijah Muhammad? Yep. From the Nation of Islam, he said that in the end times they will continue to build buildings as if the world is still going on. So for me, I see here in Syracuse, New York, we still got companies building buildings and building homes, and that's just an illusion to make it look like things are still going on. Then you got the TV shows, the movies are still going on. Can you just imagine? And I was sitting there thinking to myself a few days ago, like, if people, two top things that would really get people thinking. If they close down that goddamn Walmart, if that closed down, and if that damn shopping mall that not everybody, but a lot of people are obsessed with, and also if people's employment checks was no longer coming through, those top 3 things that here in America that keeps people occupied. And if they realize that more and more TV shows was canceled, and especially that whole Hollywood was starting to shut down, that right there would start to make people realize, like, yo, something is going on. But as long as those top things are still going on and sports is still going on, most people don't even care about hearing about that the world has already ended. and their ego is still on high, also making them worry about things, low human things like materialism, money, survivalism, and just overall ridiculous stuff. But in particular, materialism, I want to definitely say that is one of the biggest traps, psychological traps, that keeps people occupied and not able to perceive things spiritually. So for me, getting this information, and and the other thing that makes people not really concerned is them not seeing buildings fall. There's some countries where there's a lot of buildings falling, and there's even some areas here in America where there's buildings falling, and you got the storms and all of that. In California, I heard for years, and I already know it now too, for years, California, the state of California, various parts of it has been burning for years. And that place in New York City, and I'm not sure if it was New York State, but I heard that New York, and if I had to guess, it's New York City, especially because the buildings is making the whole planet wobble. The buildings were not built spiritually like it was supposed to be built in Egypt, that we used to do it in Egypt, where they was spiritually built and they was placed strategically to be in alignment with a variety of different things. But these humans these days don't understand the spiritual aspects of a variety of stuff. So they just build. So those two states, California, definitely the whole state of California, and definitely New York City, was supposed to be underwater years ago, but there's a lot of spiritual stuff that occurred that kept it up. So for me now that I already know that California has been burning for years and is still burning up, and I wouldn't be surprised that whole state is probably falling apart. We just don't hear about it. Now I want to investigate and see what's going on in New York City and see all of the stuff that they're not telling us. I want to see if that's falling apart too, New York City, and what kind of crazy stuff is going on there as far as stuff falling apart. So if you are living in New York City, anywhere in New York City, if you are conscious, definitely let me know if you got any information, if you perceive what's going on there too, that news is not telling you. I'm telling you, y'all, there is a lot of information that this news is not telling people. And some people know that already, but it's a lot going on. So overall, my information that I want to share with everybody is that this world has already ended, and right now we are in a residue of what was. So if you can think of anything, any type of movie or TV show where it showed that there was just a residue of something that what was, and the person or people, they fell for that residue, and they was believing that it's still that things are still going a certain way, when in actuality it wasn't. That's what's going on right now. And for me, years ago, when I was sitting down by myself, I can feel the energy change. And it made me realize like something has changed, and this world is a wasteland. And I realized that is exactly what it is, but people can't perceive it because they're observing things with their two physical eyes and not their true spiritual eye. And that's the pineal gland. And a lot of people theirs hasn't been activated, and they haven't arisen to the higher spiritual consciousness. So they can't perceive that this world is already a wasteland. And they think that because buildings are being built, because new cars are being built, new phones are being built, which all of these technologies is old. It's old technology being wrapped into new wrappings to make it look like it's new. That's one thing you got to realize too, is it's all old. So when I see new stuff coming out, I try not to get too all excited like a lot of other people, like, oh, a new phone came out, new laptop came out, or this is a new car, yada yada yada. It's all old shit that they give they give to humans. It's ridiculous, and it's just recycled stuff. Just like even the movies. I was analyzing movies, and I realized that for the past 10 years, a lot of it has just been recycled concepts. And it might be like twisted a little bit, and they might add a few things to make it look different, but it's all recycled. And it's very few original ideas, movies. Yeah, if you really think about it. And even the movies of those movies I just mentioned, The Matrix, The Truman Show, The 13th Floor, and Dark City, all of those right there have very similar concepts if you really analyze that movie. And I want you to do that too. Analyze a lot of the movies that you've seen and also the TV shows, and really think how many movies are actually original with original concepts that never has been done before. Not even a little bit. Analyze the TV shows that has original content that never has been done before, not even a little bit, and that doesn't resemble anything that you have seen before, and count how many of those things and how often they come about. That right there lets you know that even the minds of people are atrophied, and the brains too. That's the other thing I want to mention too. The brains of people is atrophied nowadays. That's why a lot of people is going crazy, and they're not as smart as they used to be. The whole society as a whole. And another thing you got to know too is that a lot of these people are not real people. This is real deal information, and I should put a disclaimer in the beginning of this video, and I'm gonna do that too. Remember that. I gotta remember that, to put a disclaimer say that this information is only for certain people. But I gotta tell y'all too, is these people that's walking around here, and like I said in some of my other videos, that a lot of people are zombies. These are not real people walking around. So nowadays you got to stop looking at people with your two eyes and judging them off of your two eyes fully. You got to start reading people's energies. The ones that really have a vibrant energy, a lot of times those are the soulful people, the real people. The ones that don't have any energy, like if you can see auric fields, if you don't see an auric field around them at all, that might be a clone / robot, a zombie. If you see an auric field even a little bit, that might be, those are more likely the real ones. So for me, I can sense certain energies around people, and I can tell which ones are the real ones, and I'm getting better at it. But a lot of these people are clones, so you can't just be, and that's why your family members used to be one way, and then they something totally different, and their energy is not the same either. Because the average person, if they're real, they usually have an energy signal. And this is what I've learned psychically too. That everybody has an energy signal that lets you know what that gives them away about. It's an identity, just like our fingerprint, right? So they have an energy signal. And for me, analyzing people that I grew up with and comparing them to now, they are supposed to have at least a minimum amount of that energy signal. But now if you understand cloning and the controlling, the manipulation of society, now you can tell that some of the people you grew up with are actually clones now. So that's why a lot of people that I used to hang out with, I no longer hang out with, because the clones can be manipulated in any kind of way. And the clones are not real individuals. They're not real. So when they get killed, for me, it's like, it's not a big deal, because I knew that person wasn't a real person anyways. The original one has already been killed. And they do the cloning also partly because certain people have a certain spiritual energy, and that energy on the planet was starting to kill a certain race of people off. And I got to tell you another thing, another new information. that most people don't know. Is a certain race of individuals on this planet, of a human race. They are either already extinct or they dying off. They are dying off, and they're doing whatever they can to stay alive, and they're doing whatever they can to manipulate it. That might sound crazy, and I'm not going to say what race it is, but you might already know it. For the people who already know it, you don't have to put it in the comment section, but if you want to put it in there, you could do it. But I'm not going to be specific, but they've been dying off for years, and the way that they were created says, I mean, that right there, they don't have a lot of, natural genetics to keep them alive. So the changes in the weather, the changes in the planet is killing them off. They can't adjust. So those of us who do have, well, I don't want to go on all of that stuff. I just wanted to go ahead and talk about this. The world has already been ended, and as you can see, the weather is messed up. The weather messed up because there's no system anymore, and the beings that used to control the weather and be on, they used to watch over this planet and have certain things in order. They dying off too, because you had a one God that created this planet. And oh man, I don't even know if I should even go into this, but he used to, the one that created this, that everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people worship, the one that created this planet. He created the planet and also these human bodies. He did not create us as souls. So he's not the God, the Almighty. He's the God of this physical realm, the God of the day, not the God of the night, the God of the dead. He's the God of the day, the living. So he been died off. And then everybody else that's his minions, they're watching over it, and they doing whatever they can to stay alive. And I didn't really check, and I don't know yet, but a lot of them probably dying off too by now. And that's what it is, right? They dying off, so they doing whatever they can to stay alive. So it's a lot of stuff that you're going to start seeing that you have not seen before, because the system is over. It's a complete process that's about to be a complete shutdown of the system, this illusionary system. So that's what I want to say right now. And for me, what I've been doing is, and I went way over my, well, not way over to my 30-minute mark. For me, now that I know this, and I've been knowing it, a little bit of it, little by little each year, but more and more good information, chunks of it has been coming through. I've realized now that a lot of the stuff that I aspired to, that I really wanted to do, is no longer needed. I don't have to worry about it no more, because I remember when I used to wanted to be I was a rapper, a hip hop artist, and it was one day I just woke up. I gradually just didn't care about it, and then ever since then I just was always focused on spiritual stuff. And I used to want to be a basketball player. I used to want to be an actor, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just didn't care about it. And that's when you raise spiritually. When you raise spiritually, you care less about this physical realm. But those who are obsessed with this physical realm, and they're obsessed with their career, they're obsessed with materialism, those are the ones that usually did not raise spiritually. So it's not like how the New Age movement tells you that the more spiritual you get, the more you're supposed to be abundant and wealthy and all of that stuff. That New Age bullshit, what they do is they try to get people to believe that this planet is going to still be here, and then everybody's going to evolve, and it's going to be happy-go-lucky and yada yada yada. You know, all that New Age bullshit. You can tell who a New Ager by the way that they talk and the things that they talk about, as if everything's going to be okay. They're not realistic. So the New Age bullshit wants to do whatever they can to influence people so that this illusion can keep going on. But if you really realize what's going on and you raise spiritually, you know that you don't want this thing going on. So for me, I know to not utilize my energy to continue this illusion. So I do whatever I can to limit my activity within this illusion. So sometimes I'll just sit and not do nothing all day. Maybe like listening to something spiritual that will raise me up psychologically, that's gonna give me some real deal information about what's been going on and what's to occur. Like I listen to a lot of spiritual lectures. Anything that doesn't talk about this physical realm still being here, and anything materialistic, and anything talking about entrepreneurship, having a new career and all of that stuff, anything that's of that, I stay away from so that I can keep my mind occupied on higher spiritual stuff. So I predominantly focus on that, and then anything else that I can keep myself somewhat happy to make the time go by each day. But I just take each day one at a time, and I don't occupy myself with ridiculous human stuff, because now I see what's going on and I care less and less about this human stuff, like seriously. So I don't care about having no job. I do like the vehicles though. I do like cars and stuff, but now I'm not as obsessed like I used to be about having a car. I used to be really wanting a car, especially after watching them damn Fast and Furious movies, and a lot of people know exactly what I mean. When they used to watch those Fast and Furious movies, you wanted a car too, so you can modify it or at least drive it fast or something like that. But now I don't even care about it. So now what I recommend is just take your days one day at a time. Don't completely quit everything. Don't quit your job. Stay with your job, but just don't take it seriously. Don't take it too seriously to where it drives you mad. So you just got to relax. And if you could work less and avoid doing those overtime, definitely do that. Avoid doing overtime, because that's just going to distract you. And I got another video that I plan on doing, so keep a lookout on that. The employment trap, which that's going to be a revised version of my current one that I already got up there. That one I wanted to revise it because I got more information, and also that one I was talking a little bit too much in the beginning, so I want to redo that one. So just don't completely change your life drastically to where you'll mess up a whole thing. So if you're gonna change your life drastically due to this information, and after you perceive it, because a lot of people, I want to tell you too, a lot of people, they already sensed it, that this world is ending, but what they try to do is, materialism is another drug also. That's what I've learned too. Materialism, once a person psychologically gets in that trap, that's a drug that gets people distracted from reality. So that's why a lot of people keep buying new things, and it gives them a high. It's almost like a crack or heroin, whatever So you see those people always worrying about buying a new car, buying a new smartphone, new clothing, new sneakers, all of that stuff. They're in the psychological trap of consumerism. I got that in my psychological trap series that you can check on my homepage on my YouTube channel. So it's like you got to think this out first, and then you got to strategically devalue people, places, and things of your life so that you don't take it seriously, and so that it won't distract you. Because the more you bring into your life, the more you consume, the less mental freedom you will have to be able to perceive things on a higher spiritual, psychic level. And nowadays especially, you want to get on your higher spiritual consciousness and focus more on spiritual stuff than you do on this human stuff. So for me, I don't even really take this world seriously. Like literally, I don't take it as seriously as we're taught, and as I used to take it seriously. So once you devalue this world more and you focus more on your inner self, the more you'll be able to perceive that this world has already ended and stuff is already falling apart in this world. And you can see it through the weather. It's breaking apart. And you got to learn how to get past these illusions of this world still being alive. So right now it's just a null period. It's called a residue. So for me, I'm just letting it peter out, because it's going to eventually peter out. And the more as days pass, the more people are going to perceive that something is not right. If they haven't perceived it already, it's going to get closer and closer to them. And the closer it gets to people, the more they're going to freak out. So be ready for some crazy stuff when people start perceiving that this world is falling apart. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Thank you very much for listening. If you listened this long, I appreciate it. And as long as I get this information out, I feel like I did my duty as far as that, letting people know so that they could know, they can start devaluing the things that our world societies tell us to value, and be wise that what they put on the news, the majority of it is false, because they make news. Also, they make news. They have to make it for the power, for the money, and to control people any way that they want to control people. So you can't always fall for what the news says. That's why you got to focus on your spiritual consciousness so that you can tell which is the truthful news versus the false news. All right, thank you very much. Make sure that you click the like button on this video, and you have to be signed in to do it. Make sure that you share this video. You can do it by clicking and copy and pasting the link, or you can click the share button and then you can get a smaller link on there. So look for the share button. And definitely, if you want more spiritual information and especially committed relationship information, then this is the channel for you. So click the subscribe button and the bell button so that you can get notified by email. Thank you very much. All right, till next time.